that keep our streets and homes safe and secure. The Chief of Public Safety provided us with a description of some of the items that would benefit both the police and fire department. It is our great pleasure to be able to donate the necessary funds to equip the Mitchell Fire Department with 11 helmet cameras and 1 dash-mounted camera to assist them in real-time video in improving their training in actual fire situations, and to provide the police department with the 2 docking stations and the additional iCloud storage space for their personal body cameras. We hope that the equipment is rarely used, but should it, the Palace City Lions Club are honored to support the men and women of the Mitchell Fire and Police Departments with these donations. And with that, I'd like to present the check to Chief Overwick.
On behalf of the City of Mitchell and the Mitchell Department of Public Safety, I would like to thank the Palace City Lions Club. I think they're a true example of where volunteerism benefits a community. There's a quote out there that says, "Volunteering is the ultimate exercise in democracy. You vote in elections once every year or two, but when you volunteer, you vote every day about what kind of community you want to live in." And I think that says a lot about the volunteering that went to raise money like this, and not only for them, but all the service clubs in our community, the churches, the foundations. We're very fortunate to have them, and we thank the Palace City Lions Club tonight. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's immensely appreciated.
Thank you.
Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. Does anyone on the council have anything they wish to have removed from the consent agenda?
I didn't have anything that necessarily we needed to remove, but it did seem like there were, some pretty hefty adjustments to our sidewalk projects. And I think I understand why, but if you could maybe just explain that. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure.
I know that we had background material, but.
We had on your agendas 3 different change orders. Change order for Rexwinkle Concrete is to replace a concrete pad out at the airport maintenance building. We are rebuilding that parking lot this year. And street crews have done all the demo work. Rexwinkle Concrete is going to replace that existing pad that's out there. It wasn't part of the original bid item when we got all the bids ready together in the spring of the year. It wasn't one of their items we were going to have due, so that's why it was an added item. That item is covered by already budgeted funds, so we won't need to come back and ask for extra money.
In like 2014?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, 2014 for 2015.
Okay.
The next one for Colwell Concrete is added square footage due to 2 different property owners. One property owner wanted to install a new sidewalk. The existing sidewalk ended at the east edge of his property, and he wanted to extend the sidewalk over to 4th and Marshall. So that is what one of the items is, and that'll come out of special assessments.
And that will be reimbursed.
And that'll be reimbursed by the city when we bill a property owner in the spring.
Okay.
The other item was for hazardous sidewalk. A gal came in and had 40 feet of hazardous sidewalk she wanted to get fixed. So we had the contractor go out there and replace it. And that'll be the same way. That'll gets paid through special assessment, and then the city will get reimbursed when we send out those bills in the spring.
So there was no way to anticipate that these things were.
Correct. Because these are people that want to have the city contractor do it, because typically the city contractor could get some of the cheapest prices. And I think property owners feel a little bit more at ease when it's a city contractor doing some of the work. The last item is Big O Concrete, and that's the big one for 40, I think it's 41, 43,000. That is a multitude of different things. So when a homeowner wants to replace their water or sewer, we may have to take out a little bit of curb and gutter or a little bit of sidewalk. When that is done, the utility contractor does not replace that curb and gutter, asphalt, or sidewalk, and that is part of an excavation permit, that as soon as the work is done, we will have the city contractor come in there and do that work. We don't know at the time in the spring what different excavation permits they're gonna be. And there was about, I think, 7 or 8 of these, that wasn't part of your probably description. But when I put together a listing for Tim today, there was probably about 6 or 7 of these that were part of that list. The other ones was we had a sinkhole or a failure in some storm sanitary sewer in the intersection of 7th and Sanborn. We had to tear out the concrete in that intersection, fix the leak that was causing some sinking in the street, and then replace that concrete. And then we had a couple other locations around town where we had some storm sewer inlets that were in need of repair. So then we tore out the concrete, did the repair work, and then we poured the curb or the concrete surfacing back in place.
And all of that is the same thing, special assessment?
No, that work would be repair and replace, budgeted money that we budgeted in 2014 for repairs like this.
Those actually be emergency items like the street repair. And if there's erosion happening during our spring heavy rains to their inlets or whatever that are, they can, you don't have to worry about the limits on, we classify those as emergencies, which they are in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to worry about the change order limit fees.
Terry, as long as you're up there, I wasn't going to say anything, but as long as we've opened this can. How close are we to being done? I mean, we've had a great fall with all the various concrete and sidewalk projects around town.
For sidewalk and concrete, we got a couple more excavation permits that we're trying to get done. So I would say we're probably close to that 85 to 90% on just the, a miscellaneous type of work. Paving, we're going to do probably our last paving of our big projects on Wednesday. We're going to go out and pave the maintenance building parking lot that is out there on the west side of the airport. We're going to pave Lawler from 7th to 8th. That is an overlay. And then we will be, there's one more. Oh, we're gonna replace some parking lot out to Cadwell Park. And the street department will go in there on tomorrow and do the dig out, get it all ready for paving, and then they'll come in and pave that. So a majority of our paving, we have 2 TIF streets out on the woods that are getting ready for gravel. I'll try to get Rex Winkle in here. I'm not sure if we'll get that one paved. I know the developer is hoping we get that one done, so that'll be push and shove to see if how the weather is. But for the majority of all of our projects that we were hoping to get done, this last week was a busy week. We were able to do Raleigh Street and McCabe on Monday. We paved Foster on Tuesday and Wednesday. Those were some long days, but we got a lot of paving done in 3 days.
So when do we quit? Is it the first frost? Is it the first snow?
Usually it's dependent on the weather and dependent on commercial asphalt. Usually we kind of guide right around Thanksgiving. Spruce Street, the final 2 layers in Spruce Street, they got paved on Thursday and Friday. So Spruce Street is all paved. We got a couple spots we're kind of taking a look at just to see how they're going to hold up. They were a little soft, but Spruce Street is all paved, so thank God.
Don't sit down yet, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I wasn't quite done. So my question is, you're saying that the money was budgeted, the $43,000 but then why do we need a change order?
Because it wasn't part of the original bid quantities.
Oh, okay.
And this was brought up during your audit, that we were going to start following this process so that you weren't seeing on your pay estimates the amount paid being so much farther over what the contract award was.
Okay, that really was,
And you will see this more and more because there's no way for us to
right.
tell a contractor on these different areas that we're going to be doing, so.
So you set aside a certain amount.
Yep.
And then when the occasion arises. then
Right.
Okay,
And the bids are unit price.
Yes.
thank you.
Terry, what's the odds of getting the road out at ProBuild? Is that going to happen yet this fall?
Well, I
They
drove-
have a ways to wait.
I drove by there the other day and it looked like all the utilities were done, all the bottom base work is done, but I haven't seen any gravel work happen yet. The gravel work will be done by Johnson Construction. Once that gravel work gets in, we could schedule, Rex Winco Concrete to come in and do the curb and gutter, and then they could finish the gravel work and then paving. So that's another one that will be hit and miss depending on the weather.
And to get back to Mel's question on paving, the general rule of thumb with the DOT spec is 40-degree air temperature and rising. And some of that will depend on the ground temperature too. You don't want that asphalt to cool too quickly, but their completion date for paving is October 15th. They almost always overrun that. And the second specification is 40-degree air temperature and rising. So we may run into the end of that one of these days. So.
Does anyone from the public have anything they wish to have removed from the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed.
I'd move approval of the consent agenda items.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Charles.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
Dosher. Rice.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye. Motion carries. Citizen input. If you need to address the mayor and members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time.
Hello, Billy Kelly. I'm the Human Resource Director for the City of Mitchell, and I just want to congratulate the city and all of the employees. We went to the South Dakota Municipal League Association meetings this past week, and Mitchell has been presented with the Platinum Award for the Safety and Loss Control recognition. It's been about at least 3 years since we've had that. When we had the big hailstorm in 2012, that was one of our first big claims, and that kind of knocked us out of the running for the Platinum Award. And so in order to get the Platinum level, the members don't apply. It's based on their ratings for safety. And this award is presented to the members that have achieved the gold level, which we have done every year. But they also have to have a combined loss ratio, 3 years for all lines of coverage, of less than 60% for each city. And the pools that we get the 60%, the combined loss ratio for is work comp, which means the employees are taking care of themselves when they're out there working, and we're glad to see that. Property and liability insurance, and that means that they're doing all they can to keep the public safe and also taking good care of the city equipment. So I'm happy to announce that. And it's because we're doing monthly safety training. Almost every department does that. We let the finance office out. They only have to do a quarterly one. They're not in a real dangerous environment. So we give them a break. Right, Cindy? So, and we have a very active safety committee. Dick Figland is the president of that, and Jolynn Hansen is the secretary, and they do a great job. And there's employee representatives from management and staff and also from various departments. And so I just wanted you to be aware of that. We're pretty proud of that. And the second thing I just want to mention to you is that the deadline for the Corn Pass applications has come and gone, and we now have 59 applications for that position.
Wow.
59, did you say, or 39?
59.
Is there any other citizen input? Stephanie?
I just have a couple updates for the council. First, a reminder, I sent out a calendar appointment for this Monday. I believe it's the 26th. 26th, from 5:30 to 7:30, our work session, and we'll be having that here at City Hall. A couple updates on the Corn Palace project. I know there's been some questions about the air curtains. Those were moved, so they're up above the doors now. So they're almost complete with that installation. They have to paint some of the hardware. They've got the second floor redone, but they are finishing the stairs this week. They should be done by Wednesday. So after Wednesday, the stairs for the second floor should be done. And also, I don't know if you saw, I had it up on my screen earlier today. We did have, let's see if I get the right one. These are the foam boards that we're having done. They should be done tomorrow, they said, and we will have them up at the library and at the library, City Hall, or library, Senior Center, and then the rec center. So, what do you call it? James Valley Community Center. So the top part of this, and this is just zoomed out because it's an oblong board, the top is going to show the resolution, the bottom is just going to show that design option B, and that's exactly what the referendum referred, was that resolution relating, and then the image attached to that item B. So those should be up starting tomorrow. That's all I had.
Anyone else?
Mayor, I was just going to mention that my name was put in an editorial 2 weeks ago, and I just wanted to respond to that. The first thing that it basically insinuated that it was a special interest in making sure that individuals that were for the pool, it indicated that once we selected a date, that that was for that individual only, but that was taken out of context because we as a council all agreed that now that we've set the date, and we all talked about this, that we want to make for sure that all the information is out, and then once it's out, then the individuals can make a decision, yes or no. So as we were discussing the date, we wanted to make sure that the public is aware of all the information. And so then he quoted myself of saying that it was just for special interest, to making sure that they were comfortable with the date. And in all reality, we're hoping to get information just like Stephanie is showing here. And so that was taken out of context. And then the article went on to, or the letter to the editor went on to say that that there was starting blocks that were put into it. Well, the MAC people are going to be raising $1 million to cover these types of costs. And obviously, when we built the ice arena, we weren't going to do it without boards, or if we built the soccer fields, we weren't going to do it without grass. So I just wanted to make that point, and then finally, it stated in there, and we had a very lengthy discussion about the slide, and it indicated that the slide was not included. So I just want to make for sure everybody's aware of what the facts are, and I would just appreciate, I can respect anybody's opinion. I have no problem if you're for or against. Everyone knows I am for the pool. But all I ask is, if you are going to put my name in print, that you please check on the facts and not take it out of context. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Maybe I should report for Michelle, since she's not here tonight, that she did get, the ballot language is finalized and the ballots have been ordered, and it doesn't seem to be a problem for us to get the ballots back by November 16th, but of course, we're relying on somebody else to get that back to us so that we can start the absentee voting by November 16th. So everything seems on target for that to happen at this point.
And where will people go to absentee vote? Finance office, correct?
Yeah.
That will be corrected on the website as far as the absentee voting.
Right.
From November 16th.
The dates that were listed on the website were just the minimum requirements by the Secretary of State's office based on the election date that was set. The council requested that we allow more time for absentee voting. So we did get the ballot language drafted and approved and sent to the people who print the ballots. So as long as we get those back in time, that we should be able to start that November 16th, which was the request at the last meeting.
Well, again, I feel like I'm dragged into this a little bit, but are we going to put the boards up, or are we just going to rely on the online?
No, we're putting the boards up, as I said.
Okay, but are they going to be up before November 16th?
They're going to be up tomorrow. I said they're supposed to be done
Okay,
tomorrow
well,
morning.
I must have been zoning out.
Yep.
How about, is there any talk about, for lack of a better word, candidate forums where,
I heard that the chamber was looking at coordinating one.
November 7th.
Oh, there you go.
November 17th?
And that in itself is, again, that's going to be a very good time to have people get educated. And I would hate to start the absentee voting
Right.
prior to that.
Right.
So that might be a date, maybe after that, that at least then the forum can take place and then both sides can make their presentation. We can have information there of the facts, the size, the cost, the funding, whatever the case may be. And then after that forum has taken place, then I would say any time after that, then we can allow absentee.
I think if that's the direction you're going to give us, you need to be clear, because right now, I think the last direction we had was the 16th. So if you'd like us to wait until the 18th, it's only 2 days later, but I just want to make sure I'm understanding everybody.
What day is the 16th out of?
Monday.
Monday. Wednesday's fine. I think they should have 1 day before they vote. At least it'll be in the paper, it'll be in the radio, and get the word out.
It'd be nice if we could broadcast that. Well, I don't know, does anybody know if that's going to be available or not?
on the radio,
Okay.
KMRN, News Radio 1490.
What
was that again, JP?
One more time, JP.
KMRN News Radio 1490.
Thank you.
Online at 1490KMRN.com.
There you go, all right.
I'll get him a microphone.
Are we going to change that date then to the 18th then?
Is that the consensus that you guys would like us to start it on the 18th?
Well, I think that's a good idea. I think if somebody's coming in before the forum, I'm not sure the forum's going to change their mind. But
I guess we're a no, if somebody made a motion, we would go up or down.
what is the statutory minimum? What would that be?
15 days, isn't it?
Right, that was
So-
the original date.
15 days.
So what date would that be?
I don't remember what that original was. Let me pull it up.
8th was the original.
And when is Thanksgiving?
26th.
26th is Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So what are you looking for, 15?
The minimum is that we have to have, absentee voting has to begin by November 23rd.
Within the.
Well, I'll make a motion that we then start absentee on Wednesday, November 18th, because then it'll be after the forum. And that will pick up a few days prior to Thanksgiving holiday, so there'll be more than 8 days prior to that. So hopefully then people have an opportunity, if they're not going to be around during the holiday season, that they will at least be there that week. And basically, it's just 2 days, I understand. But I still think it's important for people to at least listen, right, and then make their mind up.
I'll second that.
Hey, is there any, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other citizen input? If not, we'll move into the committee report, traffic report.
Traffic Commission met tonight in regular session at 7:20 PM. We had one item of old business on the agenda. It was a discussion on previously approved request to suspend the 15-minute parking and 10-minute parking on 6th and Main and 5th and Main during Corn Palace construction. After discussion, it was decided to leave the 15-minute parking spots at all four corners of the block and also the two 10-minute parking spots in front of Northwestern Energy. And we adjourned at about 7:23 PM.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the traffic committee report as presented.
So moved.
Any further discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action on resolution number 3305, a plat of Lot 10, Block 9 of the Woods First Edition, a subdivision of the east one-half of the southwest one-quarter of Section 23, Township 103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th PM, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota.
If you notice in the last planning commission, the unapproved planning commission minutes, you would see that the planning commission considered this plat and have recommended approval of this. This is out in the woods area, and it kind of follows the master plan out there.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action on resolution number 3306, a plat of Lot 9, Block 8 of CJM Second Edition in the northwest one-quarter of Section 32, Township 104 North, Range 60 West of the 5th PM, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota.
Again, you would see in the planning commission minutes, they reviewed this plat and have recommended approval of this one as well.
I don't have any objection to this. I just have a question. When do we decide the plat?
When do we decide to plat? All right.
Yeah, I mean, when, you know, these plats come sort of piecemeal. Does the developer bring it? Is there some criteria that has?
Typically, usually what happens is somebody's purchasing this property, and then that's what they need to identify the property lines as that, but they don't want to plat it until they, somebody brings in a proposal of some sort. But that's typically that's kind of how these all come about. Usually what happens, a lot of times these larger developments, they have maybe a block or a large tract platted, and then that's why sometimes you'll see these have a master plan, and then that's how we kind of see how it follows along. And like the woods, for example, we have it all drawn out, what the master plan looks like. Now, it may be altered a little bit. Instead of maybe 12 lots, it might end up being 10 or something, but it's almost development driven. Yeah, a lot of it deals with property taxation too.
That's exactly it. That was a
Yeah.
compromise maybe 15 years ago with developers.
Yep.
Like over in Sioux Falls, they whack out a quarter section that's right at the time.
Right.
That doesn't happen here. So for taxation purposes, they plat the whole parcel. They
Right.
the cost.
I was curious.
Yep.
And that's helpful. Because you look at Sioux Falls and
Do I got a quarter section of a crack?
Yep.
Fill up with houses.
But again, it's usually development driven.
I'll make a motion. It just doesn't work that way here.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action on resolution number 3307, a plat of lots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, Block 5, MLC Edition in the northeast one-quarter of the southwest one-quarter of Section 28, Township 103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th PM, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota.
Well, now this one is a little bit more, like you said, it's more multiple ones. But again, the planning commission did consider this one as well and have recommended approval of it. As you can kind of see, it's towards where Miller Street and Norway, and it's kind of in that, well, that pretty much visualizes it right there. Mr. Mueller is here if you've got more specific questions of him.
move to approve. Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action on resolution number 3308, a plat of Charles Avenue and Sneed Avenue in the Woods First Edition, a subdivision of the east one-half of the southwest one-quarter of Section 23, Township 103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th PM, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota.
Again, the planning commission did consider this plat as well. Now, this was probably one that I believe Terry was just referencing, is trying to get a street, because the street is not platted yet. And so this might be one that I believe he may be referencing, because this one's to actually plat the streets so that they can install them and so forth. So,
I was wondering what was going to go into those very
so as you can kind of see the drawing out the plans, but now you need the street first.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action on resolution number 3309, petition for vacation of public right-of-way.
Planning Commission approved this subject to my review, and I have reviewed this and have met with Jerry Thompson. And, no, that's fine. Yeah, I bought one, actually. This is the old Tumbleweed Building, Thompson Enterprise. Fisher Rounds is in this portion of the building. I do have a sanitary sewer in the green line running right. You can see how steady I am along here. And a few facts on this. And Jerry and I did reach a negotiated compromise or truce, or I don't know what better to call it. It was actually very friendly. The original request of 12 feet would put the existing sewer less than 5 feet from the right-of-way line. That sewer is between 18 and 20 feet deep. This is the area that drains through that particular sewer. And as you can see, on the top is Kmart, Cabela's, and Walmart, to give you an idea of the area that drains through that one sewer pipe. So if we ever have a problem in that, and we're 5 feet from the right-of-way, I think we have a real issue trying to dig it up. An 18 feet hole, we wouldn't certainly be able to stay on a 5 foot right-of-way on one side. What we did come up with is the building is plus or minus 13 feet behind our right-of-way line. Mr. Thompson wants to build an addition, proposed at 18 feet 8 inches. We're going to call it 20 feet with overhang. So a 20-foot addition onto his building, 13 of which is on his property, means 7 feet goes into the right-of-way. And he and I have agreed that 8 feet then of street vacation is sufficient, and also leaves us approximately 10 feet from the center line of that sewer if something does go wrong. So I think if I speak for Mr. Thompson and myself, we both recommend approval of an 8-foot street vacation rather than 12.
The resolution will have to be adjusted, but we can do that.
Well, I'll move to amend the resolution to 8 feet.
Second.
Any
Now-
discussion?
In saying that, Mayor, do we need to take this back to the planning commission, or? can we-
I don't believe Planning Commission actually has an authority
Planning commission is there.
for
Okay,
annexing
good.
them.
Courtesy,
Yes.
We had a motion and a second on the amendment. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action on resolution number 3310, contingency transfer.
Would you like some discussion before your action or overview? Okay. We did go through the departmental budget year to date. As you are aware, in the past, the city had done supplemental budget or appropriations, supplemental appropriation ordinances in order to cover any departmental issues that came up. We did increase the contingency budget this year in order to allow for that to come out of the budgeted amounts versus depleting our cash. This is within the 2015 budget. There was a number of items on your, let me pull up the right one here. On your list, I tried to provide a background for all of them. Overall, this request would total $247,706. Of that total, $200,000 is because last year in 2014, when we were in between finance directors, the council approved a transfer out of the general fund back into the health fund because previously the general fund had basically borrowed money from the health fund, and we were paying that money back to the health fund. Well, after you guys approved the appropriation, the actual transfer of cash never happened. So we no longer have the budget authority to transfer the cash, so we need to get that done in 2015 per the approval of the council that happened in 2014. Does that make sense? Okay. The next largest item on there was a request for the sports complex. I had another ice compressor go out on the original sheet of ice. Dusty can correct me if I'm wrong on that. And they're going to replace it with a certified rebuild similar to what we did on the other one. So I believe that comes with a whole new warranty period with the certified rebuild. Then the other items that are listed, let's see if I can pull that up on the, sorry. Then I go, oh, here we go, 15. I can't talk and do this at the same time, can you tell? I provided, so everything that's in highlighted are the items that would be on the resolution for this year. We can certainly discuss any of the other ones. I've had questions about the travel. We used to use the Corn Palace vehicle. That lease was turned over, and it was midway through the year, so those departments did not have the opportunity to adjust those budgets. The last ones that you see on that list, there's 4 of them on the bottom here. That's just potential items that may need a transfer depending on the outcome of the budget year. So there is $7,000 in there for election. If our cost for the special election goes over, we might need more. I don't know. And then the other items are just some ongoing. We had some additional overtime that was incurred. And the air curtains, we shouldn't actually have to do a contingency for that because it's in the enterprise fund. But you had authorized that as part of that amount, so I'm showing that as the budget. So even with these potential pending items, you're still at a balance of $159,947. And when we reviewed, we went through and reviewed each departmental budget to look at where they were year to date. If somebody's rest of the budget could absorb the changes, then we weren't doing contingency requests. This is just if it's going to impact the overall bottom dollar of that departmental budget.
Okay, so is that purchase of property in this?
Yes, that's in there, and I don't
And
have.
I can't even see it on.
I'll pull it up here.
That,
This one.
I see that, yes.
It's
but
on the resolution for $200. It should be on there, right? Okay.
But, so where is it in the yellow shaded area? I
Let me look.
couldn't see where that was. Anyway, my question is, why did we buy this property in April of 2015?
And I don't know if it was the property that was bought in April, but I know at that time the city and county had to, it might not be on this list. I might have missed that one because they added it.
It's on it, yeah.
Oh, here it is, right here. This $200. My understanding when Michelle looked it up, that was the taxes that the city and county had to split for that property. And I'm not sure if it was the city who bought the property or what the actual transaction involved, just that they had to write the check for the taxes. And it was split between the county and city. I don't know if you know anything additional on that. But that departmental budget, because it's economic development, all that money goes to outside sources. So there's absolutely no room in that budget to absorb that difference of the $200. And by audit standards, we can't be over what that departmental budget is.
$200 seems like an awful even number. It might be transfer tax.
It was actually $198.06 or something like that, but we can't do that for.
I'm trying to figure out why it's like that.
Oh, and I don't know if anybody else knows why we bought the property.
That isn't that property that's on the nuisance that we're moving through the court system.
It's on Duff and,
No, it's not.
Where would this property be?
South, the other side of the first.
Oh,
It's railroad property, I think is what it was.
is it that piece of property that we
320.
bought right next to the bike path down there? Remember we bought that house?
That's what it is.
Ah,
And I think that those taxes were actually credited to the city.
Yeah, we tore it.
And the buyer and closing, that's what it is. So we
Yeah.
saved
Railroad.
$198 out of our payment
yeah.
and then paid ourselves with the tail rather than
So why do we have to pay property taxes? I
You're-
follow up with Mel.
All I know is it has to do with the acquisition of the property and when the property transferred.
Could be title fees, could be.
Yeah, but see,
What?
taxes run
Title
a year
fees.
in arrears. And so when you purchase property, either you escrow the $200 and just withhold it from the full price, and then pay it when due. Otherwise, you're relying on a third party to pay it, maybe they'll pay it, maybe they won't. maybe it's not gonna be there.
My only goal,
Withhold it from the-
my only goal is to have us in compliance with audit standards, which says that economic development departmental budget cannot be over, and we're going to be $200 over if we don't do a contingency
Okay.
transfer. So.
It's all fair.
Yes, that makes sense. That's that part.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution 3310. And then the miss of transferring the $200,000, that was just a.
I think
we-
that
we
was
missed
just
it in
an
the transition.
oversight in the transition between finance directors, because we got the authorization to do it, but then,
Actually, and the audit would have caught that we didn't move that money, right?
right, we became aware of it. I don't know exactly who caught it, but they did find out that the cash never went from the general fund back to the health fund where it was originally borrowed from.
Hey. There's no more discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action on resolution number 3311, resolution granting consent to Mid-Continent Communications.
Yeah, I think that's pretty tight reading of the franchise agreement when an investor in an entity changes, there really isn't changing one, but I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, looking at the material, it's the same owners with different stakes.
Two
So,
owners instead of three.
right,
If it makes them sleep at night,
yeah.
Mid-Continent Communications said that their legal team requires this
Right.
based on the franchise agreement. They did suggest that when our franchise comes up, that we consider maybe revising that to be more consistent with what our other one is, as well as what other people in the state are doing, which would make this so they don't have to come back for the small change.
Yeah, it would be foolish to say that, you know, the third owner who retired was the only reason we gave him the franchise agreement. I'm going to move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
I would like to add one other point, if that's okay. We talked about that this morning. When they called to get this on the agenda so they can proceed with their sale, they made a request about having the ability to stream city council meetings on their channels as well. I said we would have no problem with it. They, for whatever reason in the past, they said the city was reluctant to let them do so, but I said we have no problem. They're going to bring in the equipment so that it's going to catch the same signal that Mitchell Telecom's getting, so we will have the city council chamber meetings on both channel, or on both providers now. They said that they had approached the city in the past, and whoever they talked to here was reluctant to do it. But they're covering the cost of bringing the equipment in, so I said, absolutely, we want it out there. So the mayor told me to tell them to go ahead and get going, so they're going to be working on that.
I think that's a great idea.
Can you get Dish and DirecTV?
Stream it from your TV.
That'd be next month. We had a motion, we had a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve contract for cleaning and evaluation of West Side Water Tower.
As you probably remember, you did approve for the 2016 budget, I believe it's a $375,000 item for painting of the west side water tower, the big blue water tower. We need a lot of information before we know if that number is even accurate, and this provides underwater skilled, sanitized divers and diving equipment to go inside that tower, clean the sides, evaluate it for cathodic protection, which protects it from rust. Give us some estimates on the corrosion pit, and hatch, vent, and ladder means that OSHA has requirements on the hatch, the vent, the ladder, the rails, et cetera. We did have to upgrade that tower last time we painted it. They'll evaluate that again. And basically, when they are done, we should have a pretty good idea of what we have to do to that tower and if our estimate is within range or not. So this is coming out of professional fees in the water department, money which is budgeted, and so there won't be I don't believe there will be a transfer of money for this. They're all about 140 feet. Now, that one's on a hill, it might be 120 feet.
Tim, do they, I'm apparently not firing on all cylinders tonight, but do they inspect it with water in it?
Yes. Yeah.
Doesn't it make more sense to empty it and then look at it?
Well, if they empty it, then they're on cables and ropes going up and down and up and down. So the diving is actually, they're sanitized with, I believe, chlorine. We do our storage tanks at the water plant, which all the BY water goes into. I believe we do that wet as well every couple of years.
Really?
So there are a few specialty companies that do this wet, yeah.
So could these same people look at the tower and the lake and determine what it takes to take that down?
An act of Congress would help that one, but, no, I'm not sure that would help at all either, so.
No, but we had talked about finding somebody that could tell us or guide to what the condition of that tower is at the lake bottom.
Yeah, I can actually find out if they are willing or able to dive in that tower.
I don't know if they'd go in, but at least around the outside of
Sure.
the site to determine.
Mhm.
I don't think they would go in, but we talked about who.
Don't we have a lot of scuba in the fire department?
Just to prove something. Yeah, but we gotta know what we're looking for.
Yeah, I guess so. Seriously, do you want me to ask them if they're willing to do an evaluation of that?
2017 budget.
Why not?
consideration.
Okay, all right.
This
I'll drive
portion,
them
this
by.
portion of the inspection is $11,750.
Right.
Total amount of budget was $375,000. So that
Right.
balance is going to be for just painting it and restoration on the inside of the tower tank?
Well, we
Is that
have a
correct?
water study supposedly in the works, and I'm not sure where that's at. I haven't seen anything on that since I started 3 months ago.
There was one email that I
was there?
sent out that said that they weren't going to be anywhere, I don't think until spring of next year.
Okay.
I remember April.
Yeah, spring of next year.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I'd like to get SPN going on this design once we get the recommendation, so we have something ready to bid very early.
So I understand this, Tim, the 375 is painting and what else?
Painting and some repairs, but we have to find out what the repairs are and what we're painting. If we're painting the inside and outside, if the inside has held its paint and we're painting the outside only. So we really, the 375,000 came from Shane, and I hope he is accurate and correct, but I don't know that, so.
Could be more, could be
yeah,
less?
Yeah.
We brought the water report up. Is that the same report that we're going to find out if, when we take the third water tower offline to see what that's totally separate?
It probably, the model probably will tell us, and I'm pretty certain the model will tell us not to take that tower off, but we shut it down for a couple of days when it was 90-some degrees this year, and nobody I talked to noticed the difference, so I'm not sure. The computer model was talking about 2 or 3 PSI, and we actually lost in some places 1 PSI, and some places we didn't lose any PSI.
Really?
So we're producing 60 pounds of pressure with that water tower shut off.
That's the old one over by the high school.
Yes, and that's a 300,000 gallon water tower. And we took down another 300,000 gallon water tower, but we put up a 1 million gallon water tower. We also have 2 million gallons of storage by trip, which we didn't have when these old towers went up. So we have all kinds of storage.
What would the advantage be of taking it off?
Oh, about probably, we have to either take it down and put it back up, or take it down and not put one back up.
I see.
Because of its age.
Yeah,
Okay.
so about $1 million savings. And if we take it down and we have problems, then we can plan to put one back up. But I don't think we're gonna have problems,
And the cost is so high that it's good.
right?
Was that Stephanie? Cost?
The cost is so high. I mean, when you looked at that, it was $1 million to replace that, so.
Yeah, that was a Build America one that we did the last one.
Right, right. That was mostly loan, or was that part grant too?
I think there was.
Stimulus, there was some grant in that, yeah. Okay.
Well, I will move to approve the contract for the cleaning and evaluation.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve is the approval of the 2015 Personnel Policy Manual. Billy will now read all 52 pages.
I would like to just state as an overview for the council, Billy did provide a very good list by list of everything that's changed. The last time the city adopted a full manual was in 2005. Beyond that, we've done updated policies here and there. What our intention here is to get a good, completely adopted manual, so we have a good starting point. We now will have it electronic, so we can put it on our website, we can have better access. As we have changes that happen, which we have that every year, we'll probably have some after negotiations this year, then we can just update one portion of that manual, like we can update policy 2, redistribute policy 2 to all employees, so everybody always has a current manual. That's our intention. Billy put a tremendous amount of time. Everything that she used in here is either come from the legal staff at the municipal league or looking at other HR law references. There are a few typos and things that we found that will get corrected, but the policies themselves are as proposed.
And I think I may know, but I may not know, who BCLM, these initials, is Lisa Marceau one of them?
LM is Lisa Marceau, BC is actually Brookings County. Stephanie was being humble there. I used Brookings County pretty significantly because they had just revised their entire manual in 2013. So it was one that was relatively
Okay.
new.
We had just done all the legal research
Sure.
needed for most of the manual updates, so it was easy to kind of take some of those.
That's fabulous.
Have we done this with an eye towards the unions? By that, I mean, are we treading on
No, because.
negotiated territory?
No, we really aren't, because the personnel manual only addresses those items not covered in the contract for the unions. If there's ever a discrepancy between the union contract and the manual, the union contract supersedes anything in the manual. So you really don't have any problems there at all.
Well, I only got through the first 10 pages and I have about 8 or 9 questions of intent or content. And I guess based on what I've seen so far, I'm not ready to approve it, at least at this meeting, just based on, if you want, I'll give you the first example. On page 1, the mayor's item, let me get back to it. In the second paragraph, the sentence ends, city operations or services to have ideas. And then there's no,
No, yeah, Steve, I don't know if you got my email that I sent out on Friday, but it said
Yep.
there's some typos. That was probably, I was just going crazy with cut and paste and accidentally cut off the
right,
last
but your
sentence.
email didn't cover anything on page 1.
Oh, okay, well,
So
that
if
has
there's
been fixed.
other typos, then we're in your email. I want to know what they all are.
Okay,
And
That was the first one I noticed on there too, Steve, is that incompletion of that sentence.
yeah, and it looks like it just got cut off
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I
sure,
understand.
if you want, if you could just want to quickly go through, or, you know,
I
however
think,
you
I
want to
think we
do
take
this.
time and
Yeah, I'd like to,
bring it to another.
and I'll go through the other ones I've got back onto, and I'll give you the example that I have, and I've only, like I said, gone through some of the pages. One of the questions I have is, do we use the term supervisors, managers, and department heads interchangeably?
No.
Because we give supervisors the authority to create additional policies, but we don't give that authority to department heads.
Where's that, Steve?
Okay.
Just as easy to, Steve,
Here we go.
to go through the yellow and deliver that to,
It probably would. We talk about page 11 of the manual, 126 of the
And Steve, maybe,
7 in the packet, 126 on the sheet, and 11 of the manual.
okay, Steve, maybe what we could do is have you give me a copy of the highlighted version of any typos that you
Sure.
find.
Well,
or
these aren't
grammat-
typos. Some of these.
No, I know.
Some of these are just.
I'm saying grammatical or typos, and then anything that has to do with content, maybe we could address
Here's-
here.
And that's fine. Here's the, one of the first ones that I ran into. Section 3.0.1, I'm on page 197 of the big item, 126 in the packet, page 11 of the document. We say it is not permitted for an employee to be under the influence of controlled drugs or substances or alcohol on the job. Okay, so that means that I can't take blood pressure medication and be an employee
Yeah,
because I'm under the influence of a controlled drug.
okay. We,
you have to make reasonable compensation for you.
yeah,
Well, but it says I can't be under the influence of a controlled drug.
I think she knows what she wants to say.
I think we know what
no,
want to
we
say.
can certainly change that. Here's the deal.
But-
In the very next paragraph, it says
I
the
know it
legal
says
use
that
of
in the
controlled
next
drugs.
paragraph.
We can change that, Steve. I'd be happy to change that.
I think we can probably get a cleaned up version.
And I guess that's what I'm looking for. But
Oh, that's what I want to know. We want to
Okay,
know. It's just,
so
I don't know if you want to do it here.
Okay.
Because I think that's a major deal.
Well, the deal here on the legal, the next paragraph. The legal use of controlled drugs or substances prescribed by a licensed physician is not prohibited. So there, now first we said you can't be under controlled drug and be working, but now we say if it's prescribed, you can. So my comment is take out that third paragraph completely.
I think that this policy is directly from the municipal league that was created
Not
by
only for the
Lisa
municipal
Marshall.
league, it's also
But
the
It-
FTA.
There's all
Yep.
sorts of questions.
We can put accept what I like to write.
You know what? I am happy to answer these questions. I really don't mind. So, Steve, I can write a note here.
Okay, so here's where my question about the supervisor. So
Where is that again?
So the next 1, 2, 3, 4.
You can just give us the
paragraph.
name of the page in the manual.
I'm on the exact same one.
Okay,
3.0.1, page
right.
11.
okay,
The legal use of controlled drugs or substances prescribed by a licensed physician is not prohibited, but employees in positions where side effects of the prescribed medication could affect performance and safety on the job are required to make such use known to their immediate supervisor. Okay?
correct.
So all of our supervisors know the drugs that our employees are taking?
If there's anything that could affect their performance
Well,
or is going to compromise
almost
their
every
safety,
drug-
it should be.
Almost every drug they're taking could affect their performance.
Well, we have to have a policy though, and obviously
Right.
the
But
employees
my-
are not
but
going to
you're
tell
You're not understanding my question. So
Okay.
do our supervisors have that information?
if the employee tells them.
Is that a violation of HIPAA?
No, no.
As long as the employee tells them.
Depending on how the supervisor finds out.
If we have an employee who's on pain meds or who's on narcotics or anything like
Right.
that, and we have them driving a truck, that's a safety factor.
I
They
agree.
have to,
But if we have an employee that is also on
blood pressure medication and they go off that medication, they're also a safety factor, but do we know when they
No.
go off their medication?
No, we don't monitor that.
But that's a safety issue for that employee.
But that's not a controllable safety issue that we have, Steve.
Why
we're
is
not,
not
we're
that
not here to
controllable?
make sure that people are staying on their medications.
But if I read that, that's what I'm reading. That's my interpretation.
That's pretty literal. I think that we understand what we're trying to accomplish here.
If there's
But
going to be.
but do the employees understand? I don't care what you understand.
They certainly will when this gets approved and we're able to do training. I believe every employee I've ever known understands this policy. It's a policy that's been around for 10 years, so.
Okay, I will get you all the comments I have, but we can vote on this, but I'm not going to vote.
Do we want to, is it possible we can do this at the work session Monday night?
No.
Before now?
You won't
or
have
not?
time.
No?
But-
I think we just take it to the next meeting. You can have all questions answered.
I would recommend that if there are concerns, it's unfortunate
Sure.
we didn't have these ahead of time because we could have brought those answers to you to that meeting since this was available on Thursday, but we can
I
make
didn't
those,
have time between
yeah.
Thursday and now.
Some of those
Got
items,
through
yeah.
3 hours of it, and I've got 10 or 12 pages, and that's all the further.
Some of those items that are in this alcohol and drug policy, we can't take out because it's required by the FTC in order for us to have our Pal City Transit. So unless we're not going to do that, some of that is boilerplate language that we have to use in order to be able to provide that service that we do. But at least if we have a listing, we can note which one of those came from what source. If you need to, we can say this is a requirement, yeah.
These are the ones
Right. Steve, just send me an email and we'll go over those and we'll let you know if there's some that we cannot change. And most of these are not worded from our own experience. Most of these are from other sources.
Well, okay, I'll send you
Okay.
the part, and let me find the next part that I wanted to ask. I probably won't find it.
No. Well, he's not done yet.
No, I'll get it to you. That's fine.
Okay. And really, Steve, we welcome these. I mean, if there's a reason why we can't, we'll certainly let you know.
Is there any way that you can send that to all of us to review?
I was envisioning if we could get a list of any other concerns in addition to Steve's, then what we could do is we could provide the detail and the response for each one. And then that way, if it's something that's required by Jessica's people that came in and audited us, we can state
Right.
that. We can, so it gives you at least a little bit of a back, and then everybody gets the same information and we can put it in the packet versus kind of having a ongoing, then everybody gets the same information.
And as I said,
I think it would be better continuing it and then adopting what is settled upon as the policy than continuing to adopt it.
I think we-
At the next meeting.
I'd move the table.
But Steve, the typos and most of those have already been connected, and I apologize. I was in a hurry when I sent it out to
Can we get
you.
an update then,
Sure,
if those have all been corrected, so then I
Sure.
don't have to.
absolutely. Be happy to do that.
Okay, we got a motion, we have a motion and a second to go ahead and refer this to the next meeting to table it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourned.